Okay, it's time. Well, hello and welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Building Brilliant Kids. My name is Matt DeMayo, and I have both the privilege and the pleasure to be your host and your guide through this exciting adventure. In fact, during this series, we're going to explore together games, activities, strategies, and pastimes that you can do with the children you love to help them shine brightly. You know, when we started this series, I talked about the concept that being brilliant is far more than just being intelligent. You know, we gauge brilliance by how brightly something shines, with stars and diamonds. And that's just what we're looking to do with your children, helping them achieve their full potential so that they too can shine brightly. Well, I'm especially excited to teach today's class because with some of the material that I've taught, it's been a compilation of all of the different things that I've learned and been able to filter through my own unique process. However, today I've got some unique content, stuff that I created from scratch. You're not going to see it in any other books or materials anywhere. And so I'm hoping you've got something to take notes with, and we're going to get started. Now, I call today's episode Fun Times. You know, I do it for a couple of reasons, but if you are like me, you may have struggled when you were little kids with the multiplication times table. For me personally, a little quick glimpse into my life. I remember being back in third grade at St. Mary's Elementary School in Nutley, New Jersey, and having to learn by rote, by repeating over and over the multiplication times tables. I still remember being in my mom's kitchen and doing washing and drying the dishes as I stood there in tears reciting the multiplication times tables. It was painful. For me, it left me with a permanent fear of math that lasted all the way until I was in my mid-20s. What a horrible thing. I don't want that to happen to you or your kids or the children that you love, because fear of math or leaving a mental scar about something that they've got to learn like that, there's no reason for it. So today, I've got a way of looking at numbers like you've never seen before. This truly is fun times. Now, that's going to be towards the end of today's segment. To start with, I've got a game. Well, if you think back to our first episode, we talked about helping create the foundation in the children you love with the idea you learn things fast. Set that expectation in their head, let them see themselves with that self-image that they learn things fast, and the world becomes a much easier place. Then we talked about how to do the alphabet backwards. And maybe some of you that have seen that episode are still singing the song and you're now able to recite the alphabet backwards as quick as you could do it forwards. Then in the next episode, we learned how to use your imagination to be able to inoculate, to immunize children against the fear of public speaking. So we did it first in our imagination, and then I taught a step-by-step system to be able to be a speaker that people actually want to hear. Well, in today's episode, I'm going to teach you a brand new game. This is a game that you can play anywhere. You don't need any special equipment. And I'll tell you, this is a blast. You and your kids are going to have a great time. I call it the chain game. Now, I'm going to let you have a peek inside my life, and I'm going to take you back to a real story of when my little girl and I were out at the beach. Now, I'm here in St. Pete. I live in Tampa right now, but I own another home in Pompano Beach, Florida, on the Atlantic coast, only a short distance from the beach. My daughter and I would go there all the time, even if we weren't in beach clothes. So one day, we decided that we were going to go and sit and watch other people play on the beach, and we sat on a park bench near the edge. And my little girl said to me, "Daddy, let's play the game." And I knew exactly what she was talking about. That's what I'm going to show you right now. I've since named that game the chain game or the list game. You'll see why in a moment. So I said, all right, we're going to play the game, and today's topic is things up in the air. I'll go first. So I said, all right, things up in the air, sun. And she said, sun, moon. And I said, sun, moon, cloud. And she said, sun, moon, cloud, airplane. And then I said, sun, moon, cloud, airplane, banner. And that stopped her. And I went, look at the airplane flying by over the people on the beach. It's towing that big advertising banner. And she went, oh, okay, I got it, banner up there. All right, sun, moon, cloud, airplane, banner. And she says, bird, because of all the seagulls. And so I said, sun, moon, cloud, airplane, banner, bird, kite. And now she was stuck. She's looking around and doesn't see anything else up in the air. And that's when the magic happened. So she said, sun, moon, cloud, airplane, banner, bird, kite, raindrop. Now, here's the reason it was magic. Because up until now, the two powers we were developing were observation. Well, you could observe the sun. You could still see the shadow of the moon. You could see clouds in the airplane and the banner and the birds and the kite. Raindrop came from where? Her imagination. She created it. It was creative thinking. So she knew raindrops could be in the air. So she went, okay, raindrop. So I added snowflake. And now keep in mind, the way you play the game is by continuing to repeat the entire list. So I went sun, moon, cloud, airplane, banner, bird, kite, raindrop, snowflake, and then star, she said, because she was thinking, all right, well, if there's sun and moon, there's going to be stars. And then I said ball. And that stopped her in her tracks again. I went, ball? Look over here on the side, people playing volleyball. Sometimes they're holding it, but when they serve or when the ball's in play, where's the ball? Oh yeah, Daddy, up in the air. Right, so things can be up in the air that may not always be up in the air. Aha. So after we had ball, she added frisbee, and we added lightning and thunder. Where's thunder? Well, you don't actually see thunder. You hear it, but where is it? It's not here on the ground, it's up in the air. So if you play the game where you repeat every object all the way through, three things happen. Number one, you are building the powers of observation of the physical world around you. The children have to look around and go, all right, what falls into this category? And when you add stuff that they might not normally think of, that expands their understanding of things that fall into the category, up in the air. Okay, cool. The second thing was memory, because she had to remember every item in the list. And I'm going to show you when we do this with our next list exactly how that's done so you can do it easily. So how do you remember all the items in this chain? And then the third power is creative thinking. You may not observe it in the physical world around you. You may have to create it with your imagination. So school doesn't teach this kind of stuff, but it builds tremendous power, and it is so much fun to do. So here's what we're going to do. You and I are now going to do a list together. Now, it's not likely that you live near a beach, especially at this time of year. So maybe let's do something that you do have. Almost all of you have a backyard or certainly a park in your area. So let's go out to the backyard and let's play the game observing the things in the backyard. Okay, so you and your child are sitting there and you say, okay, today we're going to do things in the backyard. And you say, tree. And your little one says, leaves. And then you say, tree, leaves, grass. And then your little one says, tree, leaves, grass, dirt. And then you look around and you say, okay, tree, leaves, grass, dirt, barbecue grill. Now, maybe your barbecue grill is under some snow or under a plastic wrap right now. Maybe you don't have one. Maybe it's just in your imagination, but it could be in your backyard. All right. So now we've got tree, leaves, grass, dirt, barbecue, grill, chair. Now in my yard, we've got some lawn furniture, so maybe you've got that too. So after chair, you might add table, and then fence, and then stones, and then swing. All right, so let's now take a look at how you turn this thing into a chain. So let's come over here to our flip chart, and let's take a look. We'll use the black one. All right, so the idea of a chain. I'm going to draw a chain. So you know what a chain looks like. You've got your first link is connected to your second link, is connected to your third link, is connected to your fourth link. So each link in the chain is connected to the one before it. Now these are connected to the one before it and the one after it. You'll notice that link number 2 over here is not connected to link number 4. So if I were to number these, 1, 2, 3, 4, you already understand the concept that link number 2 is connected to 1 and 3. It doesn't have any connection at all to number 4. So we're going to use the idea of creating a chain. So what was the first item in our backyard list? All right, so we said tree. All right, so there's your first link. That's where we're starting. And then we said leaves. Well, you can easily see the connection of how you can connect this link to leaves. All right, so then the next one was grass. So you want to imagine, where are the leaves? Okay, the leaves are no longer on the tree. Where are they? Well, it's easy to picture it in your imagination. They're laying in the grass, and you've got to rake them up. All right, and then where's the grass? In the dirt. So we're now going to connect grass to dirt. What was the next item? So far, this is logical, and this happens in the real world. What was the next item on our list of things in the backyard? Right, the barbecue grill. So now we're going to use our imagination and be silly. And we're going to take the dirt and we're going to throw it into the barbecue grill. Oh, yuck. Now, don't do that in real life, but you can take the dirt, throw it into the barbecue grill. And we'll do one more. The next one here was chair. Well, what are you going to do with the chair? Well, we can take the chair and we can now barbecue the chair. Would you like a leg? Maybe an arm. Okay, so let's do this now with the other items on the list. So chair, the next item was table. So sitting in the chair, you might see a table. You're not sitting in the chair any longer. The table. Now, in my backyard, I have kind of a round table. It's glass and metal. Maybe in your backyard, you've got something that looks like a picnic table. Maybe it's wood. Maybe you don't have a table. Maybe you got to use your imaginary kitchen table or your dining room table. So we've got your table sitting in a piece of your lawn furniture, sitting in the chair on your lawn. All right, the next item was fence. So now we're going to take the table. No longer going to be dealing with the chair. We're going to take the table and we're going to convert that. And we're going to link it to fence. So maybe we're going to take lots of tables and that becomes your fence. Now in my backyard, I've got a wooden fence of slats. And so I can imagine replacing the slats and I've got lots of tables. Well, now the next item is stones. Maybe in your backyard, you've got some stones, maybe decorative stones, something like that. So maybe we're going to take the stones and put them all along the fence, or all build the entire fence out of stones. And then the last item was swing. Maybe you've got a swing set in your backyard. Maybe not. Maybe you're out in the park. Maybe it's just in your imagination. But see, taking a big stone and put that on the swing, and now you're going to swing the stone back and forth. So now stay with me. Tree has nothing to do with chair. Just like if you're wearing a chain, the first link has nothing to do with the fourth link. It's not connected. Each link is connected to the next one and the previous one. So tree, leaves, grass, dirt, barbecue, chair. What was the next item on our list? Look at the picture in your head. What was sitting in the chair? Right, the table. Then what did we do with the table? Where did we put the table? Yes, the fence. You saw that in your head, didn't you? Now, the fence is no longer tables. What did we turn the fence into? Stones. Yes. And then what did we do with the stones? We didn't just let the stones lay there. What did we do? We pushed it in the swing set back and forth. Are you getting it? Yes, you are. And so what we've learned to do now is learn to be able to make a list, a very long list, and we can keep going. We can make this list as long as we want, and you can remember it because the amount of stuff you're remembering is limited only to the image of each link and the one before it and after it. And so it reminds you of what happens next. All you've got to do is play the little movie in your head or see the snapshot in your head, and there it is. All right. So we've covered quite a bit. Now, this is really valuable stuff. This concept of chaining, we're going to come back to over and over again. As a matter of fact, you're going to see me talk about this in my other series called Be Smarter, Faster. But right now, teaching children this concept and using the game, the chain game, where you're out and observing things, really develops an unbelievably powerful recall. You can do the chain game anywhere. You can do it while you're in the car on a long drive. My daughter and I used to play it when I would be driving her to pre-kindergarten. It was a lot of fun, and we'd pick a different topic. Sometimes we would say, all right, think of things in your classroom when we get to school. Think of things in the playground at your school. Think of things in your bedroom. And so you can play this game whether or not you're observing things physically, or she's just got to see it or he's got to see it in their imagination. Powerful, powerful thing to be able to do. Now, if you've got really little ones, I'm going to tell you something cute. You're out in the backyard and you're playing the game out in the backyard. Add some poop. You heard me right. Little children, little ones, are fascinated and they think it's the funniest thing in the world. So you're talking about, you got the swing set, and what else is in the backyard? Well, maybe dog poop or bird poop. Let me tell you, if you can get them giggling and chuckling, which if you talk about poop, they certainly will, they become hysterical, and you can giggle and chuckle along with them. And the more fun they have, the more fun you'll have, and then they'll want to play the game over and over again. Now you're getting it. Bring yourself down to that young age, and let me tell you, you will have a ball. Okay, now let's use what we just learned in terms of creating the chain. Let's use it and see how you do with a brand new list. All right, so I'm going to give you a brand new list, and these are physical objects, but I'm not going to have them in a particular category. You've just got to remember them. All right, so don't write this down. Hopefully you've been taking some notes so far. But this, I just want you to do your best and remember it, okay? Play along with me. By the way, the more you play along with me, the more you do it along with me, the better it'll stick with you. Because otherwise, if you're just passive and you're sitting there watching me talk about this and you're not playing along with me, you'll only get a fraction of the benefit. Play along, play the games with me, act it out with me, and I promise you, you will go through breakthroughs yourself. All right, so now here's a new list. Basketball, baseball bat, swan, butterfly, sailboat, snake, cherry, candy cane, snowman, tennis racket. I've only said it once. Write down the items you can remember. Take a moment right now and write down or jot it down somewhere, scratch a piece of paper, or just try and say it out loud. How many items can you remember? And while you're doing that, I'm going to come over here to the computer and I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay. So now you're actually able to see the list. So we've got basketball, baseball bat, swan, butterfly, sailboat, snake, cherry, candy cane, snowman, tennis racket. Same list. All right. Try and recall the list in order now. Now that you've seen the words, try and recall the list. Come on, actually do it with me. Play along. There will be a test. All right. So you got some, you didn't get others. I want you to try and recall it in perfect order. All right. Now we're going to do it again. This time I'm going to give you some help with your imagination. I'm going to give you the images. All right. So basketball, baseball bat, swan, butterfly, sailboat, snake, cherry, candy cane, snowman, tennis racket. All right, now this time, try and recall the list in order. All right, a little better that time, right? All right, now, so far you've learned about improvement. Now we're going to go through breakthrough. Improvement is one thing. You know, that's going from 0 to 60 a little faster than you went last time. We're not going to go from 0 to 60. We're going to go from 0 to light speed. Watch this. I'm going to give you a completely new way to relate to numbers. What you just saw with the basketball and the tennis racket are not sports items. They're numbers. Watch this. So there is your basketball. That's the number 0. So I want you, every time you see 0, see the basketball. Every time you think basketball, think 0. Now, number 1 is the baseball bat. And you can see it. There it is. Well, looky there. All right. This one, I like this one a lot. Look at the swan. Can you see the number 2 in the swan? It's right there. And so now every time you see swan, you can think number 2. 2 is swan. 3 is butterfly. Look at the butterfly and see the number 3. Wow, there it is. Number 4. Can you see the number 4 in the sailboat? It's right there. See, there it is. Number 4 in the sailboat. All right. Next is snake. How is the snake number 5? Well, look at this particular snake. You can see kind of resembles a number 5 in your imagination. You can make it exactly like that. All right, let's take a look. Number 6. This is an easy one because this one looks just like the number. Number 6, there's the cherry. You've got the stem and you've got the fruit. Number 7, another easy one. Looks just like number 7, looks just like the candy cane. Number 8 is my personal favorite. And number 8 is the snowman. And there's the snowman. And number 9 is going to require a little bit of extra imagination. Number 9, you got the tennis racket. Look, here's your tennis racket. You see it? You've got the handle and then you've got the racket part. Number 9 is your tennis racket. Okay, so now do the list. All you've got to do is think 0. And what does 0 remind you of? Yeah, the basketball. 1, what's number 1? The baseball bat. What's number 2? The swan. Number 3. Come on, 3. What is it? Oh, yeah, the butterfly. 4, sailboat. 5, snake. 6, cherry. 7, candy cane. 8, snowman. 9, tennis racket. And here they are. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow. So what you've learned is a system I've developed. If there's anybody else anywhere that's ever taught this, they got it from me. Cartoon numbers. This is a system. I developed this back in 1986 for a particular franchise series that I was developing. This really has life-changing implications because what we've done now is we've given you an entirely new way to relate to numbers. Numbers are no longer just inanimate squiggles on a piece of paper. Now, some of you were with me for my other series called Be Smarter, Faster. And in that first episode, in my debut episode of Be Smarter Faster, we did a long number demonstration. Now, the long number demonstration, I fill the board with 30 digits, a great big long number, and I challenge you to memorize it. Everybody says they can't do it. Then we time it, and in 3 minutes or less, you can all remember 30 digits in and out of order, and you can remember it for weeks at a time. And what we did is something very similar to what I'm doing with cartoon numbers. We turned the number into something you can relate to. Now, in that story, we talked about James Bond 007 and making a bet of $10,000. Well, little kids may not be able to relate to any of that. Little kids know what a candy cane is. They know what a baseball bat and a swan and a snowman. That's all stuff they can relate to. So we're going to keep this right at that level in single digits. And now here's how you can use it for something like remembering the multiplication times tables. So watch this. All right. So we're going to use, this time I'm going to use the blue marker to keep it separate from what we've got over here. All right. So in my system, let's turn this off, and we're going to come right back to the live screen. All right. So now here we are back on my live screen, and we're now going to learn how to use that series of cartoon digits for the multiplication times tables. Now, you're not going to need to do this for every single one of the times tables because your kids don't get stuck on all of them. They probably have already mastered the 2 times tables, the 5 times, the 10 times, the 11 times. Those are easy. What are the ones they get stuck on? The 6, 7s, 8s, 9s, right? Those are the harder ones. And some of those they remember no problem because you've got the 2 times 6 or the 2 times 7. They've got the 5 times 8 and the 5 times 9. You've got the 10 times and the 11 times. So they don't get stuck on all of them. So this is a technique to use for the ones that they might get stuck on. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right. So here we've got 8 times 8. And what's the answer? 8 times 8 is what? Right. 64. All right. So let's use the cartoon digits. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tell a story. We're going to turn it into a cartoon. So here we've got Daddy Snowman. Daddy, we'll give him a mustache like me. Daddy Snowman and Mommy Snowman. All right, Daddy Snowman and Mommy Snowman. And what are they doing? Well, they're eating cherries on a sailboat. All right, can you see Daddy Snowman and Mommy Snowman? So when you tell the story about, they see the 2 snowmen, Daddy Snowman and Mommy Snowman, what were they doing? They were eating cherries on a sailboat. Well, now it becomes a cartoon. It becomes a story. It's a reminder. Sometimes I have people go, well, they're not learning the concept. Well, great. So what? They ain't learning the concept by doing 8 times 8 is 64. They're not learning the concept there either. They're doing rote learning. All we're looking to do here is help them remember what the answer is. That's all. All right. Let's do another one. So let's stick with our 8 times tables. 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 7 is 56. Okay. So 8, well, we know we got our Daddy Snowman over here. All right, so here's Daddy Snowman. And Daddy Snowman is out walking with his candy cane. He's out walking with his candy cane. And what happens? Well, he's out for a walk. He's walking along with his candy cane, and he sees this snake. And what's the snake doing? Uh-oh, the snake is eating the cherries. Oh no! So Daddy Snowman out with his candy cane sees the snake eating his cherries, and he gets mad at the snake, and he takes the candy cane. You snake, you stop eating my cherries. So Daddy Snowman out with the candy cane, snake cherries. Let me tell you, you may not quite get this yourself yet. I promise you your kids will. Let's do a couple more real quick. Let's do 7 times 7 equals 49. All right. So what's 7 times 7? Well, we got a couple of candy canes. All right. Now we're going to make these candy canes come alive. And these candy canes are buddies, and they're hanging out. And where are they? Where are the candy canes? Yes, they're on the sailboat. Well, there you go. They're on the sailboat. And what are they doing on the sailboat? Well, they're playing tennis, of course. What else would candy canes do on a sailboat? All right. So we've got the two candy canes hanging out on the sailboat playing tennis. And we can do this on and on and on. But I want you to get the idea. Now, again, let me caution you. We're not going to do this with every single item, every single one of the multiplication times tables. We're simply going to do it on the ones that they tend to get stuck on. But now you've got an entirely new way to relate to numbers. So no longer is the number 8 merely the number 8. It's a snowman. Wow, what a concept. Now just think of all of the numbers that human beings have to remember. Well, little kids have to remember their address. They have to remember their phone number. You may want to remember people's birthdays. You may want to remember all the stuff that they've got for classwork. You know, how many items are this or how many rules are that. Eventually it's going to be formulas. Eventually it's going to be dates in history. And so now you've got a new way to be able to tie that to something else. You know, we talk about the idea of a reminder. Going back to ancient times, people would tie a string around their finger. In more recent times, people would sometimes put an elastic band around their wrist. Why? The string on your finger has absolutely nothing to do with the actual thing you're supposed to remember. It is a reminder that you were supposed to remember something. You look at the string and you go, oh yeah, what's that string doing there? Oh yeah. The concept of a reminder, to put it back in your mind again. And that's what we're learning how to do here. All right, we've covered a lot of stuff. I've got one really cool series of demonstrations to do on the multiplication times tables here for you, but I don't want to minimize the importance of these cartoon numbers. The cartoon numbers, like I said, give you an entirely new way to relate to those little inanimate squiggles on a piece of paper, and now they can become something else, and you can play all sorts of games with them. All right, now, let's wrap up with this. So, the 8 and 9 times tables seem to give people the hardest time. Now, what I'm about to show you, I wish that I had invented the 9 times table one. I actually saw somebody else do it, and I thought, wow, that is pretty cool. So here we've got 9 times 1 all the way through to 9 times 10. So now what we're going to do is we're simply going to count. So let's count. All right. So right next to it, we're going to say, all right, we're going to just count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Pretty simple. Now we're going to go backwards and do the exact same thing. Watch this. 0. Oh, look, 9 times 10 is 90. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 times 2 is 18. 9. Well, how cool is that? Well, you know, when I first time I saw somebody do that, I went, why didn't anybody ever teach me that in school? I really struggled with the 9 times tables, and this, well, that is just too cool. Easy to remember it like that. Wow. All right. Let's now do the same thing with the 8 times tables. All right. So let's see now. Maybe we'll try to use a red one for this. Now, here we're using odd numbers. 9 is an odd number. 8 is an even number. So we're going to deal with even numbers over here. All right. So we're going to count backwards from 8. And when we get to 4, we're going to use 4 twice. So watch what happens. So you'll notice this time we're starting at 10. Here we started at 1. So we're going to start at 10 and we're going to count backwards. All right. So here we go. So we've got 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. And what did I tell you what was going to happen when we got to 4? Right, we were going to double it. We were going to use it again. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, pretty good so far. And now we're going to count by 2. So we've got an even number. Number 8 is an even number. We're going to count by 2. And when we get all the way up to 8, we're going to start all over again at 0. So watch this. 0, 2, count by 2, 4, count by 2, 6, count by 2, 8. And what did I say we're going to do when we get to 8? We're going to start all over again at 0. So we start all over again at 0. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Look at that. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32, and so on. All right. Now, so you've now gotten different ways to look at how you can help your children overcome the fear of math. We play different types of games, use the cartoon numbers. So let's take a half a step backwards and go and review what we've covered here in today's episode of Building Brilliant Kids. First of all, I gave you a brand new game. And remember, this is about games, activities, strategies. You just learned a strategy, and pastimes. So the game that we learned today was the chain game. And you can use the chain game wherever you are, in your car, on a long trip, on the beach, in the park, just hanging out. Instead of watching TV, just play the game. And your kids, if you have fun doing this, they'll be bugging you to play the game. So the way you do it, observe the world around you, and now you're going to continue to build the list and make the list as long as you possibly can. Try to get all the way to 20. I promise you, it's harder than it might sound. Get all the way to 20. Think about the lists that we've done so far. All right, let me take you back to the beach. What did we start with? All right, we had sun, moon, cloud. What was after the cloud? What was it? Yeah, airplane. What was hanging from the airplane? The banner. And what about the banner? The bird, the kite. And then we had the raindrop and the snowflake and the star and the ball. And then when we also talked about frisbee, lightning, and thunder, but we didn't really make clear pictures in this section. But I want you to be aware that you can make this list as long as you want. What did we use in the backyard? Think about the game we did in the backyard. All right, we started with the trees, and then we had the leaves. And I want you to think about it in your own imagination. Don't look at your notes. Where were the leaves? In the grass. And then where was the grass? In the dirt. And what did we do with the dirt? We threw it in the barbecue grill. And what did we put in the barbecue grill? The chair. And then what did we have in the chair? The table. And then we took the table and we made the fence. And then we took the stones and we made the fence. And then we took the stone and we put it on the swing set and rocked it back and forth. So you can see it in your imagination. Remember, we take the first link, connect it to the second, and so on to make your chain. Now you've got a game that improves a person's observation of the real world, improves their memory, and it really helps them build their level of creative thinking, because sometimes they will not observe, things in the real world around them. They need to invent it themselves to add it to the list, add it to the chain. Okay, let me tell you, life-changing stuff. Remember our mission, live better. The smarter you are, the better you're able to live. Look, every time I turn on the news, every time I go online, every time I listen to the radio and I hear an economist or I hear people talk about new technology, I go, man, it is harder and harder to keep up in this world. You have got to be on your best game. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind. That's why it's so important to be able to develop these skills. Then we gave you an entirely new system. We're going to come back to this idea of cartoon numbers and the idea of taking numbers and turning them into other things. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be focusing on that this week in my series, Be Smarter, Faster. So on Friday, I'm going to continue the idea of different ways you can absorb numbers. So be sure to tune in for that. But numerical information of all sorts is really important in the world around us, not just for math, but for so many other things. Even just to remember your daily schedule, what time you're supposed to be there or what day you're supposed to be there, what's the address, and so on. All right. And then we wrapped up with learning how to do both the 8 and 9 times tables. And I gave you some a nice, interesting strategy. Remember, we told you games, activities, and strategies. So I gave you a strategy for the 8 and the 9 times tables. We've covered a lot of ground in this episode. Hopefully you were with me the entire time and you took good notes and this made perfect sense to you. Keep in mind that you can watch this again and again. Just go to the digital assets tab in your back office to be able to enjoy this episode anytime you want. Please be sure to join me next week as we have another exciting adventure, another exciting episode of Building Brilliant Kids. And be sure to join me on Fridays at noon for How to Be Smarter, Faster. This is your buddy Matt DeMayo, wishing you all the best. Remember, everything that we do takes a little bit of work and effort on your part. Always remember that the fastest way to get to the top is to get off your bottom. Thanks so much for joining me.